This was the scene in Athens just last night. What's happening in Athens currently is a nightmare situation unfolding for Israel, as we'll get into. Also, we have two major developments on the home front. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is taking a hardline approach to any ceasefire deal with Hamas, leading to over 1 million Israelis taking to the streets yesterday. On top of that, the IDF just conducted a massive raid in Ramallah, busting a secret terror financing operation. But first, let's start with what's going down in Athens. Hundreds of pro-Hamas protesters gathered last night to yell and scream about Gaza and shoot fireworks at the Israeli embassy. This is the latest escalation against Israel in Greece. Over the last few months, we have seen several different occasions where thousands of pro-Hamas protesters marched on the embassy. Also in response to an Israeli official criticizing anti-Israel graffiti, the mayor of Athens said, "We will, quote, not accept lectures on democracy from those who kill civilians." And just last month, an Israeli tourist in Athens was approached by a man claiming to be Hamas after yelling and shoving the Israeli and his wife. The Hamas member grabbed the Israeli man and bit his ear off. So not a good situation there. And things have just gone from bad to worse. They have been so bad that media outlets keep reporting that Israel has evacuated their staff from the embassy there in Athens. So far, it doesn't look like that's actually happened. Israel keeps denying those allegations, but if things keep moving this direction, we probably will see that happen at some point. As far as we can tell, it looks like the police in Athens just let the pro-Hamas crowd do what they wanted to do last night at the embassy, which is horrifying. They shot fireworks, they burned Israeli flags, they put bloody handprints on Israeli flags, they yelled, cursed, etc. In the videos, there are no law enforcement to be seen. On the home front, yesterday in downtown Ramallah in the so-called West Bank, this happened. You can see Israeli troops rolling up in a Palestinian-marked van, then piling out when they reach their target point. Israeli soldiers from the Benjamin Regional Brigade, along with Duvdevan guys, carried out a highly planned mission to bust a currency exchange office used for transferring funds to Hamas and funding terror operations in Judea and Samaria, what most people call the West Bank. It looks like they used the van to catch the office by surprise. Then they brought in overwhelming IDF forces to prevent things from getting out of hand. In one of the videos, you can see some of the terrorists behind the operation arrested by female IDF operatives, the ultimate insult for Hamas. You can also see Israeli operatives counting out stacks of cash here from the office. Supposedly, they confiscated over 1 million shekels overall. There is possible evidence that at least one Palestinian may have been shot in the operation. He was probably a civilian because he was taken for treatment in a Palestinian ambulance. If he was a terrorist, they would have escorted him in an Israeli vehicle. But that hasn't stopped the Palestinians from claiming that dozens were killed, as you can see in this dramatically staged video. Pallywood at its finest. Not only are some of these videos obviously staged, but the operation by the IDF was short and smooth, very doubtful more than 1 or 2 civilians were shot, if that. If the video of the guy on the stretcher was even true, hard to say at this point. Stuff like this really strikes the fear of God into terrorists who are running operations like this. It's a real, your sins will find you out kind of moment when you're living your life in the middle of Ramallah, a dense Palestinian city, the capital of so-called Palestine, and you're well protected from the watchful eyes of the Israelis, and then a van full of IDF operators just rolls up and piles into your building. Stuff like this is what makes Judea and Samaria safer. It's a good thing to make terrorists afraid no matter where they are operating from. Apparently, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, said in an X post recently that terrorist attacks in Judea and Samaria have dropped by 80% in recent days. An incredible development, and probably largely due to operations like this. Strength is highly respected in the Middle East, and when Israel uses it, the terrorists back off. In a second, we'll get into something happening in Israel that does the opposite for terrorists, showing weakness to Hamas and emboldening them. But first, Mogen David Adom is Israel's emergency services system, which means that they are the first ones on the scene at every terror attack, every car accident, heart attack, whether it's terror-related or not. They dispatch every ambulance in the nation, and they receive thousands of emergency calls every single day. They are the ones who are on the front lines of the seven-front war that Israel is still facing. Since October 7th, they have saved thousands of lives and continue to do so every single day. But they could use our help. With Israel's resources strained to the breaking point with the ongoing war, Mogen David Adom needs more emergency vehicles, bandages, medical supplies, and so much more to respond to every terror attack and every other daily emergency that's happening in Israel. People ask us all the time what they can do to bless Israel during this war, and honestly, this is one of the best ways that you can do that. You can be a part of making sure Mogen David Adom is equipped with everything that they need to save more lives in Israel. Go to savelivesinisrael.com to make a real difference today, or click the link in the description below. As you probably know, Israel is moving back into Gaza in full force, and in what seems to be a bit of a desperate move, Hamas extended another proposal for more talks that could lead to the releasing of half of the remaining hostages still held in Gaza. Bibi's answer right now is a firm no. Hamas has been employing the same tactic for over a year now. Whenever Israel gets close to making huge gains in Gaza, Hamas dangles the idea of a hostage deal in front of the Israeli public, which makes Israel halt operations to negotiate, which gives Hamas time to reorganize. And when Hamas is in a better position to fight, they cancel the deal. Because if Hamas gave up all the Israeli hostages back to Israel, the war would be over for them in a matter of moments. So, ahead of cabinet meetings yesterday, Bibi was very clear. We aren't going to negotiate anymore for partial hostage deals with Hamas. If Hamas wants to flee Gaza in exchange for all the hostages, they can do that. Israel would allow that, but there would be no more negotiations for a partial exchange. It's just madness to even consider that at this point. And discussions for a full hostage release deal are actually underway. It's doubtful it will happen anytime soon, but talks are happening. On Monday, President Trump, when asked about the situation, said this.
Right now, they're talking about Gaza City. There's always talking about something. At some point, it's going to get settled. And I'm saying you better get it settled soon. You have to get it settled soon. And that means, nobody can forget October 7th. People forget October 7th. That was one of the most brutal. I've seen some terrible things, some brutal things. That was about as bad as it gets. I think within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have pretty good conclusive ending. But I think we're doing a very good job. But it does have to end. But people can't forget October 7th either.
So Trump is pretty confident that the war will be over soon, but either way, we'll have to see. All of this is made more complicated by the protests happening throughout Israel right now. Yesterday, hundreds of thousands of Israelis, over 1 million in some reports, gathered in Tel Aviv to show support for the hostages and call for the Israeli government to end the war. There were a number of hostage family members that spoke, calling for Israel to cut a deal with Hamas, put a permanent ceasefire in place, and bring the hostages home. Protesters blocked the southern Ayalon highway in Tel Aviv, and for a while, some other intersections as well.
We call today for the people listening to us. Come out, join us, be with us today, 8 o'clock at the Hostage Square. And remind the Prime Minister that we, the people, we are the ones that decide what happens.
And I get it. It's a horrible situation. I cannot imagine what it would be like to have some of my loved ones in the hands of monsters in Gaza. But at the same time, reality dictates that ending the war right now would be madness. If the end of this war leaves Hamas in power, we would be set up for all of this to happen again, and possibly worse. I think Bibi is trying to push through the emotion of the moment right now to do what's right for the state of Israel in the long term, even if that hurts right now. Hostages are an extremely effective tool for terrorists. They always have been. That's why they turn to that repeatedly. And honestly, what's needed on our end right now the most is prayer. Prayer for God to make a way here, for the rest of the hostages to live, to be free, and for Gaza to return to Jewish rule once again, which would not only be a much better future for Israelis, but also for the so-called Palestinians as well. Palestinians live a much better life as Israelis than they do under the rule of Hamas. Guys, before I go, bringing you accurate information about what's happening in Israel and the Middle East like we do in these videos isn't easy or cheap, and we would like to ask you, if you find value in this channel, in the information that we are bringing to the world every week, please consider joining our team in producing these videos by supporting us monthly. If you are able to do this, we have a special access Telegram group with behind-the-scenes content, updates on our volunteer work in Israel, special store discounts, prayer requests, and more, specifically for our monthly donor team. If you want to join us, you can go to theisraelguys.com/donate or click the link in the description below. As always, thanks for watching.